The challenge first was to retain this patient population and see actually whether these patients were willing to be on the drug for more than one season. And at the same time, we needed to see whether these physicians were comfortable enough in supplying the drug for a long time, which would give us the clearest indication that we had actually a product. So, as I explained in the challenge, in capturing both audiences, the physicians and the patients, you can actually turn it around and make it a virtue and an advantage, which is, since there are limited physicians treating these patients, and since there are limited patients, you already know your market once you have treated these patients for a long time during your trial. So you can say that your clinical trials is really a pre-marketing exercise prior to launching your drug. So if you manage your clinical aspect very well, you also manage your post-marketing phase. And that came through in our program. It wasn't planned, but I think that is the emerging factor that we leveraged at the end. The patient support and the physician support is absolutely fundamental to success. If you don't get that in these smaller companies or innovative companies, it is fully questionable whether you ever generate value. And vice versa, if you have it and the word spreads around, then there's a more than fair chance that you actually achieve your goal. In this industry, the development costs are anything over $150 million. That's on the low side, up to $800 million in a larger pharmaceutical company. Over a course of 10 to 15 years, median time is 11 years of development. And we've done it in about 6 to 7 years for $70 million. So that poses a number of questions. Are you cheaper? Are you effective? Are you cutting corners? And the answer is no, we're not cutting corners, but we can be more effective than larger pharmaceutical companies. And if you set that against the background of the current background of what's happening in this industry, most larger pharmaceuticals are cutting their R&D costs, which was the core of this industry, was to develop new remedies, new products for medical communities. And we see that the larger pharmaceutical companies become very much the distribution and marketing arm, and the R&D needs to be replaced either by the labs or the mid-sized or smaller companies, and I think we fulfill a function in that whole play. So companies like Clinuvel, able to do it for a fraction of the cost of the larger pharmaceuticals, are eventually going to substitute the R&D of the larger pharmas. I'm not sure if it's new, but it's more efficient. And what these smaller companies have over the larger ones is you can remain very focused for up to a decade, provided that you keep the team with you. That is the number one criterion for success, is are you able to retain the talent in a small organization? And focusing 30 to 40 people on one project for a decade is something that the larger pharmaceuticals will never be able to compete with. There's a high turnover, they are working on many projects at the same time, so there's a lack of focus. That focus really pays off at the end. Like any new technology, you needed to put up the fences very high. By doing so, patenting the various indications, the technology, the delivery mechanisms, which in our case is a resorbable implant, a sugar-coated particle. And that patent position is robust, like to be expected from us. But we also needed to be sure that we were the first and the only company targeting these diseases. Sometimes you compete not so much in products, but with other companies targeting the same disease, which means that you have less of a population to test on. So the IP position is good. In terms of orphan disease, that provides a company market exclusivity in Europe for 10 years and in the US for 7 years. So it shields you from competitive pressure once you reach the market. And we have very much targeted the Western world, US, Asia Pacific and Europe. In these smaller companies, you have two choices. You either stand on your own legs and build your organization, or you partner up with a larger pharmaceutical player which has the distribution and sales force required to penetrate the markets faster. And we are good, we are excellent in developing a drug and getting it to the regulatory hands. But in all modesty, we probably will need to have the sales force with us, and that expertise we don't have in this company.